position to the next level. It's a make-and-miss game. This dude can make shots.
Well, I know his head coach, Eric Glass, was very excited about what Tyler Hero can do. He said he jumps off the court at him, some of his skill set, so we're looking forward to that. And for Team China, a little bit different here. They were here 12 years ago in Las Vegas. This is a tune-up, a really good tune-up against NBA Summer League teams to get them ready for the World Cup, which they're hosting at the end of August.
Yeah, this will be an interesting opportunity for them. And Ch.Mia last year, he played obviously for the Rockets. He's going to be here for the Chinese team. This is a team that, at this level, playing against the athletes and the size and the athleticism, what a great opportunity for them as they prepare for the Olympics.
Well, the Chinese national team arrived in the U.S. late last week in Portland, where they did some work at the Nike housing area, which a lot of the Chinese national teams have done over the years. And they're staying here till the end. If they make it that far, they are in it.
I think it's going in.
Duncan Robinson, yeah, missing, and a rebound from Wang Jailin, one of a couple of 7-footers on this Chinese national squad. When you talk with some of the Miami Heat personnel here, they knew they were a very large team that was coming to Las Vegas. Here's a corner three attempt, a miss by Shuo Feng. Offensive rebound, NBA rules apply, 14-second reset of the shot clock on offensive rebounds. And that time a miss and a rebound by Miami's Kendrick Nunn.
Kendrick Nunn started at Illinois, finished up at Oakland, has a really good feel for the score of the basketball. Played really at a high level in the G League last year, averaging 19 points a game.
Miami had a run-up as well to this Las Vegas tournament. They played in the California Classic in Sacramento and won all 3 games, played really well. And there's a hook shot for Wang Jailin. 57th pick of the Memphis Grizzlies a few years ago, but never followed up on that NBA opportunity. Kendrick Nunn with a beautiful move.
Kendrick Nunn, really nice first step. And for Chris Silva, he's got to defend the post earlier. Silva's got a really good winning DNA coming from Frank Martin's program at South Carolina. He's got a toughness about him. He can rebound the ball, but if you don't guard the post early and do your work early, you're going to give up scoring opportunities.
Well, 4 points, both from Wong on that lefty hook, and Hero getting in deep that time to tie the game.
So when people think of Hero, they think of him as a jump shooter. He's more athletic than you think, has unlimited range, but he does have the ability to put the ball on the floor, play in ball screens, and get to the rim.
Eric Glass is the 10-year Heat, was video coordinator, like Eric Spoelstra, the man who's in charge of the big Miami Heat. And Eric Glass has worked his way through this Miami coaching staff, and according to reports, going to be the G League coach. But never followed up on that NBA opportunity. Kendrick Nunn with a beautiful move.
Kendrick Nunn, really nice first step. And for Chris Silva, he's got to defend the post earlier. Silva's got a really good winning DNA coming from Frank Martin's program at South Carolina. He's got a toughness about him. He can rebound the ball, but if you don't guard the post early and do your work early, you're going to get. But he does have the ability to put the ball on the floor, play in ball screens, and get to the rim.
Eric Glass is the 10-year Heat, was video coordinator, like Eric Spoelstra, the man who's in charge of the big Miami Heat. And Eric Glass has worked his way through this Miami coaching staff, and according to reports, going to be the G League coach in Sioux Falls for Miami, as Duncan Robinson knocks down from outside a triple.
Duncan Robinson, he is a world-class shooter. If he can create a little bit of separation off the bounce, his ability to shoot the ball, now he's got to see if he can defend out on the perimeter side.
This has been the Team China offense. Wang Jailin gives it up to Abdul Shalamu. Ball was knocked around. Miami comes away with it.
You're killing it right now, by the way. You are really good.
I'm good on the starting five. Let's see once the substitutions come in. We did a lot of work on our pronunciations as Nunn hits a three. Back-to-back triples for Miami in a 6-point lead.
Yeah, Kendrick Nunn is a guy that's wired to score. And early on this year, this summer, he's shown the ability to score it, get to the basket, shoot the ball from range. And he's got a little bit of a toughness and a maturity about him. And maturity is a good thing in the NBA.
The Miami Heat squad that just missed out on the postseason last year came 2 games shy of the 8 seed. As Schwo misses the three from outside, thought there was contact, none called. Wide open underneath the basket, laying it in is Yante Mayton. 4-year man out of Georgia, and a 10-0 Heat run to extend the lead to 8.
Man, is he in good shape right now. When you look at his body right now, and he looks like he's in terrific shape. Played at a very, very high level for Sioux Falls, and what he can do is he can really score.
Well, our first foul of the game is on Kendrick Nunn of Miami, and a look at the head coach of the Chinese national team, Nan Li, because China had qualified automatically since they're hosting the World Cup. They had 2 different teams. Feng Zhu was the head coach of the preliminaries, and now Nan Li, who was on Team China years ago. In fact, when they were here in Las Vegas in 2007, he was a player on that Chinese team that won one of the games. They went 1-4. They had a buzzer beater over Cleveland for Team China's lone win at the Las Vegas Summer League. Here's Wong looking for contact. Gets hit hard by Kyle Alexander.
Kyle Alexander from Tennessee. Very active defender, runs the floor well. He's got to show that he can finish around the basket, but you're talking about a Tennessee team that Admiral Schofield is going to be in the Summer League. Grant Williams, obviously first pick of the Boston Celtics. And Kyle Alexander and Jordan Bowen. You're talking about 4 players from that team last year that are now trying to work their way into an NBA career.
Well, it is impressive what they've done at the program down there in Knoxville. And there's so much flux in the league this year. That's been the big discussion, Seth, obviously, in the offseason. It's more than just the free agency and the big names. It's the amount of players that are changing hands. And, we know it's mostly stars out there that get all the credit, but what, 4/5 of the league role players and trying to find their spot?
I think 4/5 of the play. And what the hardest thing for the college guys transitioning into the NBA is they came from positions where they were the focal point of what they were doing. Now they get into the NBA and they're asked to champion a specific role and be the best version of themselves in that role. Kendrick Nunn showing he can score, though.
Got a couple of 3-pointers after that last one. He had a nice game against Sacramento on Tuesday in Sacramento in the California League where he scored 27 points. 5 to shoot. And this will be out of bounds to China. They'll have 3.7 on the shot clock after our first timeout from Las Vegas. Heat leading Team China.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2019 is brought to you by the Summer of Jeep. Summer sounds better in a Jeep Grand Cherokee. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
As we come back to Vegas, 3 to shoot off the inbound for Team China. And a shot clock violation. Got the ball inbounds, but couldn't get a quality look. And Nnnnnbbbbbbbaaaa's team turning it over. Miami red hot after missing its first 2 shots. They've hit 6 in a row, including Kendrick Nunn, 3 for 3. Couple of 3-pointers. He's got 8 points. Miami with the early lead here in Vegas.
You look at a guy like Kendrick Nunn, and he's not only playing to maybe earn an opportunity with the Heat, but he's maybe playing to earn an opportunity with another team. And I think that's the biggest thing you got to understand is people are trying to fill roster spots. Is he going to be offered a contract? Is he going to be offered a contract? And if not, if he plays well, he can.
George, that is huge because I think most of the casual fans that we have talked about, Seth, is that they thought it was just a jump shooter, and he's proving way more than that. And obviously the Heat scouts who had looked at him pre-draft knew that as well when they picked him up 13.
He has an interesting story because originally he committed to the University of Wisconsin. And then his dream was to play at Kentucky. And a lot of people, when he decided to go to Kentucky, said, you know what? He's over his head. He wasn't a one-and-done guy coming to Kentucky. But because of that experience, because of the microscope he was under, because of his work ethic, we were in the Bahamas with him when Kentucky started their summer tour. And he was the first guy in the gym every single day. He was the last guy to leave the gym every single day. He's got a great passion for the game, and he's a very good athlete.
The blood timeout on the floor. Joe Ch.Mia.
Got to keep Joe in the game now. Come on now.
Got to keep him in the game. Joe Ch.Mia, who played with the Rockets only a few games last year. 19 games off the bench over the last 2 seasons with Houston. Played over 30 G League games for their Rio Grande G League team, but was waived in December and part of the national squad. It does not appear we will see Yi Jianlian, who, of course, folks will remember, who played 5 seasons in the NBA with Milwaukee and the Nets, Washington, and Dallas, probably their best player.
He has yet to arrive, correct?
That's my understanding, was he may be arriving today, and even if he had, probably wouldn't play because they know what they got in him.
You're a little disappointed you don't get another chance to have this Chinese team.
I would have signed up for all of them. I wanted China versus Croatia, but I don't think that's...
Steve's working on the stats for the next game. There's no doubt about it. He's compiling stuff as we speak.
Well, I'm glad that we are seeing Ding Yinghang, number 8 for China. He dealt with knee surgery last year, did not play. Was the most valuable player of the Chinese league, domestic player, and he's on the floor today as Duncan Robinson hits another 3-pointer for the Miami Heat.
Great side out of bounds play right there. A little flare screen off the inbounds. Robinson getting his feet behind him. His feet are set. You just think it's going in.
Hero showing off. All his different aspects, couldn't finish that time. China does not have a field goal over the last 4.5 minutes. And they'll get to the line on that Joe Ch.Mia foul.
Duncan Robinson, watch him as he inbounder, coming off that little flare. Watch him get behind the ball, shot ready, steps into the jumper, knocks it down. He is a world-class jump shooter. If he can show that he can defend on the other end and improve a little bit off the bounce, you're talking about a guy that creates spacing, opens up the floor. With a guy like Bam Adebayo who can really run the floor, maybe he can run into the trail spot. He's going to earn his way into the NBA because of his ability to stretch the floor.
Well, that was one of the things that Eric Glass told us, too. A lot of these guys, including Duncan Robinson, really worked on their bodies to get an NBA shape. I think the description he had of Duncan was chiseled, had chiseled his body, and Eric, who you just saw there for a moment, had said, these guys, if they're not ready for Miami Heat camp, they got ready quickly because they get after it.
I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of these rookies. These rookies get drafted. Obviously, they go through that process of getting acclimated to being an NBA player. Then they're thrown into the summer league. Let me tell you something. You better be in world-class shape when you get to this level. And more possession, shorter clock, and how players will deal with that will be interesting.
Here's Joe Ch.Mia from the wing. China continues to struggle from the perimeter. Well, the Heat have got their work done from outside the three-point line. 4 of 5 from distance. Well, the man handling the ball right now is not on my roster, so I apologize, Seth, for you if I didn't give you Jiwei Zhao.
I'm a little disappointed.
I know. I feel like
we spent a lot of time prior to the broadcast going over pronunciations, and I'm happy that you were on top of it.
I feel like I failed you. There's a look at Alonzo Mourning, and behind him, Eric Spoelstra, the head coach of the Miami Heat. One of the Miami folks in town to watch the Summer League Heat.
This is a great time of the year for coaches. You know, like, if you're a head coach or an assistant coach that's not working the games, this might be the best time of the year for you, because you can just sit back and relax, watch your team, kind of coach your coaches, but enjoy the next 10 days.
Well, we're going to see what they can do about the clock, because they can't get it to stop. It ran below 2 minutes. The shot clock ran out, and I think they've gone to the under 3 timeout. I'm sure they'll go back and take a look. 2 of our 3 officials. We're going to get a look for you here.
Yes, they can't stop the clock because .326.
Yep, where it should be. So if they can get the clock stopped, they would set it back to 3:26, and that would not be the under 3 timeout. They would get underway. So Miami. Heat with the 18-7 lead, as we said, doing it from outside. Both Kendrick Nunn looking good from three-point range. Duncan Robinson as well. With a couple of threes, those are 2 of the big guys on this Miami Heat Summer League roster. So Miami picking up where they left off. It's going to be an interesting year for the Miami Heat. Obviously, the NBA moratorium comes to its conclusion tomorrow. Now, we don't know at what time tomorrow, because the Jimmy Butler trade is about as complex as any of the deals that have been reported on since free agency began. Again last week.
Yeah, and when you look at Jimmy Butler and what the Heat have done, bringing him, you got an experienced player, a guy that can defend, a guy that comes from a winning pedigree. He can score. He's a good locker room guy if he remains even-keeled. He's going to be playing with a young team, and he had great expectations he put on the young team in Minnesota. I think part of leadership is getting people to follow you. Part of leadership is getting others to buy in and figuring out how to connect and communicate. A lot of time the league is getting so young that the Jimmy Butlers and the guys that came in when he came in, these young players are different. That's just the way it is. And you've got to figure out a way to connect with these young players and then help them get somewhere in terms of understanding how to be pros, how to work hard, how to compete defensively, how to deal with back-to-back. So I think you lose Dwayne Wade, you've got to bring in a veteran player in that locker room that can really coach the locker room and coach these young players.
Well, we have a timeout on the floor because the clock wouldn't stop. Last I saw it was under a minute. Looks like they finally got it stopped.
I had it at 3:26,
they
but
got
3:21 is fine with me.
But the good news is they fixed the clock.
They fixed
for now. So
we're in Las Vegas. There's a lot of lights. You would figure that they could fix the clock.
Hey, when it's, what is it, 104 out there today? It's cool, man. It's nice and cool.
With a dome like this, 104 is not a good look.
Don't I know that?
How about flying in yesterday at night? I got in around 10 o'clock last night. The number of fireworks throughout the city
that's right.
was incredible. And we're going to see a ton of fireworks the next 10 days. I mean, 2 games from now, you've got Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, 2 teammates, 2 guys that were really connected at the hip. They're not going to play against each other. I think the biggest transition for both of them is this is their first dress rehearsal. This is the first time they're playing with NBA spacing, 24-second clock, understanding the different ways maybe they're going to defend ball screens. And the number of possessions in the game, fatigue is going to become a factor. I would not be surprised if both players are on a pitch count in terms of the number of minutes they'll play.
Well, you see the Duke fans are already here. I was told there was tickets being scalped outside before fans were let in today. This first day is a complete sellout for the first time,
isn't it?
Here at the Thomas and Mack, and people were rushing to get the best seats because it's one admission and it's general seating, and so you get the best seats no matter when your team's going to play. The Bulls are coming up next. We'll have that one for you. With the Lakers.
Why do
and the
Knicks
Bulls.
fans always look so miserable?
Well, they didn't win the draft lottery. Maybe that's why. Summer League action continues tonight here in Las Vegas on ESPN and on the ESPN app. We'll have that Lakers-Bulls game coming for you coming up next over on ESPN, and keep it there all night long because at 9:30 Eastern, the Knicks and Pelicans, the Zion-RJ matchup, the 2 former Duke roommates will get after it, and then Phoenix and Denver will wrap up, and all games are streaming on the ESPN app, which is nice.
Now our guy Steve says the reason the clock's not working, no clocks in Vegas.
Oh, that's a great point from Steve LeBeau, our stat man. He doesn't have time to even look at time because he does every game. We talk about every game, 83 games, 11 days. You do all of them? He does.
You do all 83.
Well, he can't because the other's going on the other side. But let's say I'll give him over 40 plus.
It's amazing. Well, they're going to play basketball here.
That's an extended timeout for both teams. You could draw up a whole game plan.
I just think, to me, everyone's going to overreact one way or another to Summer League.
We always do.
A guy's either better or a guy's worse. A guy's not ready. This is basically the first entry into their professional resume. And they're a blank canvas right now. And I don't care how good you are. All right, there's a transition period. This is the beginning of it, Summer League, and it really changes once you get into the regular season.
And from a coaching standpoint, from your side, it's more about the reps, right?
No doubt about it.
Not about how you perform per se, though there are guys that are fighting for jobs and they have to perform. But it's just, getting into the professional state of mind.
Professional state of mind, dealing, and this is an interesting thing. You're here in Las Vegas. I think a lot of these GMs and personnel guys and coaches are looking at seeing how these young players are dealing with the distractions of being in Vegas as professionals with money in their pocket, because it gives them a little bit of a barometer of the mentoring process that those players are going to need once the season begins.
There's distractions here in Vegas?
I don't know. I'm going to be in here until about midnight.
Oh, there'll be distractions for many hours after that.
How about Duncan Robinson? He started at a Division II school, if I'm not mistaken.
It was D3, wasn't it?
D3, actually. Yeah. Went to Michigan,
Williams.
had a great career. That's right, Williams.
That's pretty impressive.
Nickname is?
Oh, you got me there.
Come on, you got.
Is it which Williams is it? Mass?
Yeah.
Fighting Shakespeare's? No, not that.
Like the Epps or something, or the. Come on, now you should know.
Oh,
you should know that.
I should know that, but in the age of social media, that's going to be online.
I just killed you right there.
That's all right. You got me, and it only took less than a quarter.
Bobby Valvano would have not hung you out to dry like that.
Oh, he might have. A little one-handed move by Mayton, who gets fouled by Ch.Mia.
I really like Mayton. Mayton a little bit undersized, but very good footwork, has a legitimate strength, can score around the basket. If he can step out and shoot the ball to the three-point line, now he becomes a stretch forward. He becomes that much more valuable. You're determined to find out the nickname.
Oh, I'm going to Google. I got to find it out. Oh, yeah, you're right. F's.
What did I say? Come on,
Nailed
sometimes fired coaches know stuff.
I need to find out now what is an F.
I know, but they got a great golf course up there.
All right, we're going to work on that before this game comes to a conclusion. China has missed 6 consecutive shots. And there's the make from the corner, Zhao Ray. Now I can hear the public address going, Ray Zhao, but in my lesson with the gentleman who's representing Team China, like it's Ch.Mia, he had it as Zhao Ray. So I'm just following orders here. China, it's been a little more difficult. They just got their first three-pointer from Zhao, and they're only down 8 points despite struggling from outside so far for Team China in their tune-up for the World Cup, which the United States will be fielding a team. They have qualified as well. That's coming up August 31st into the first couple weeks of September, and Team China using this as a warm-up test for them. And they've got the Miami Heat on the floor here. Yante Mayton at the line. First of 2 free throws. Played in 7 Summer League games. Last July averaged almost 11 points a game. A couple of free throws for Mayton, and that lead is back up to double digits.
How about the job Jeff Van Gundy's done with putting together different USA basketball teams during the NBA season?
That was remarkable.
And winning gold medals. It's absolutely incredible. He's had a different team each year, and all he's been able to do is win games.
I did a bunch of the qualifying games, and from round 1 to round 2 into that third window, I don't even know if he had one player that played in every single game.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
A testament.
With limited practice time, and you know, it shows really a keen job of selecting the type of player he wants, USA Basketball wants, that are there to do one thing, play to win, and not get caught up in all the other stuff.
Well, Las Vegas is usually the jumping off point for Team USA, and that's where they'll have 20 of the best. They will be going with the NBA guys. Of course, Greg Popovich, now the head coach of Team USA, taking over for Mike Krzyzewski. And they'll be looking to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics.
Jay Wright is actually an assistant coach with that group, if I'm not mistaken.
Usually have a pretty good set of coaches.
Great coaches.
Yep.
USA Basketball now, the culture of USA Basketball has totally changed. You know, right now, you know, before Jerry Colangelo took over, it wasn't cool to be involved with USA Basketball.
And it showed there for a while.
Coach K and Jerry Colangelo created was an environment where it was an honor and you really understood what you were representing.
That's right.
And, you know, right now it's important for players to have that opportunity. They want to be part of the program. And the youth development programs with Don Showalter and the players that are coming up that are basically built in to understand the value of it and what it's all about and the culture and the non-negotiables and the core beliefs, been absolutely terrific.
Yeah, it got away from the U.S. in the early 2000s. The rise of Argentina and Spain.
Those were good teams.
Greek team also had a nice run there. And then, as you said, with Jerry Colangelo and reinstilling the program. And now the next guys that are coming along, because obviously, you know, Carmelo Anthony and Kobe and LeBron, their days as Team USAers have gone by, is now to keep that high standard of a 0 in the loss column.
And keep the culture of understanding that it's an honor and you're representing something bigger than just, you know, yourself and playing for the U.S., but the tradition and the history of USA Basketball now. Heat have kind of gotten stuck a little bit right now. They need to kind of pick up their energy, get something out of their defense.
And we got a foul off the ball. You know, we talked about Jerry Colangelo But Yao Ming, the great Houston Rocket, he's Jerry Colangelo and Adam Silver rolled into one. He's the head of the national team of the process of putting it together, and he's also the president of the Chinese Basketball Association.
And he was selected before my guy Jay Will.
That's right. Got to get Jay Will into the broadcast.
Got to get Jay Will. You know, he's probably not listening yet, but I'm sure he'll be listening later. But
there's the notable players. You know, they've been trying to find the next great Yao Ming and Yi Jianlian, who's on this team, obviously on the China team currently, not playing today. We mentioned Wang Jailin, who is on this team, was drafted by Memphis. And Joe Chi, who went to Houston.
And played some.
Yep, played a little bit. But nobody out of a country of 1.5 billion have been able to follow up, because Yao Ming was just an immensely good player. It's hard to follow in those footsteps.
And skill, not just his size, but his skill level.
His thing on a step back missing.
And they absolutely love basketball there.
Oh, huge.
Absolutely.
The NBA is one of the biggest markets.
Incredible.
Online. I want to say they have 200 million people who are following the NBA. Little jump stop out of bounds. Jeremiah Martin. Heat last field goal, by the way, came at the 4:22 mark. Scored on their last 7 free throws. Yao Ming's China team down a dozen here.
Nick Weiler-Babb from Iowa State, a very good player, very versatile player, has a really good feel for how to play.
Joe Chi missing the 3. Shot clock is off. Final shot of this opening quarter belongs to the Heat.
Jeremiah Martin played Memphis. Penny Hardaway last year. So that's where Duncan Robinson's got to improve. He's got to be able to 1-2 step into that. Good job of getting his balance.
The he from Zhao, no good. Miami, pretty good defense there. I know they shot it from the outside. Held China to 13 through 1. (27-13) Heat lead. We got some Lakers fans here. We've got some Raptors fans here. And I think they're both very interested.
Separate them.
That's right. That's the Kawhi separator. I stole the line from our old buddy Mark Stein of the New York Times. It is the 5th of Kawhi. Kawhi 5th, and we still don't know where Mr. Leonard is going. I had to give Mark credit on that.
Cal State Fullerton got it.
That's right. And there are notable guys left on the list as free agents, but none more notable than Mr. Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard basically is holding the whole NBA in basically the intrigue in his decision. And you know what he should? He should not make a decision until he is ready. Why be in a rush? If he goes back to Toronto, you know what? They're whole. If he doesn't go back to Toronto when he goes to the Lakers, none of those free agents are signing until he makes a decision anyway. And let's face it, there's a very slim pickings left of the free agent players that can really help you win.
Bringing George Sedano for more on Kawhi Leonard and the free agents remaining, George.
You know, Kesty, Seth, you bring up an interesting point that he should take as much time as he wants. Think about it this way. You should know this as well as anyone. It wasn't like he was the most highly recruited guy coming out of college. The Pac-12 schools kind of came late, hence why he went to San Diego State. And, you know, he gets drafted, Indiana traded to San Antonio on draft night, and all the stuff that happened with him in San Antonio. Then gets forced to get traded to Toronto. It works out, but this is the first time in his career where he's actually been in charge of his own life. So, of course, he's going to take all the time, as he should in this situation.
And you know what? It's not about being recruited. He's got to find out. One thing about Kawhi Leonard, I don't know the guy, but he's pretty comfortable in his own skin. He's got to figure out the situation that he feels he would be most comfortable. Look, as an outsider, you say Toronto. Why mess with Happy? You've got that core group together. If he probably signs, then the game comes back. Can we do it again? Or do you say, you know what? Do I want to go to the Lakers? I mean, do you really want to go to the Lakers and be the third, basically the third spoke in that wheel? I don't know. What do you think, George?
Well, it's interesting. If he goes to the Lakers, I mean, we could make the case here that could be the most formidable trio we've ever seen, right? Like, LeBron's played some pretty good trios before with Wade and Bosh. You're talking about two guys there beyond LeBron, top 15 players at the time. These guys would be all, you know, top 6, 7 guys playing together. You mentioned there's slim pickings beyond those 3 guys, but man, if you have those 3, there's a lot of covering up that those guys can do and masking those guys can do for the rest of the roster, that's for sure.
Georgie, pump the brakes a little bit. Pump the brakes. The last time, this is not like the big 3 and we're playing 3-on-3. I mean, you need good role players. You need play starters. You need shot makers. And by the way, you're talking about 3 guys that have had injuries. So, like everyone said, well, if Kawhi goes to the Lakers, it's all over. It's not good for the NBA. Like, there are other teams that have good players. And yeah, will they have a formidable starting 3? Yes. Did they get a good veteran in Jared Dudley? You know, a guy that's a good locker room guy, yes, but who's going to be the playmaker? Who's going to be the play starter? Are they going to have enough shooting? What if one guy goes down? I think we once again, I think we always overreact to this.
No, I think you make a good point there. Look, we all thought that Golden State was going to be an easy champion this year, and look how that turned out. As you pointed out, there are things that come up that we can't necessarily foresee coming, injuries being one of them. But I just think that if you're just looking at those 3 guys, I mean, I don't think we've seen a threesome that would be that potent in this particular situation.
I think what's interesting to me as well, if Kawhi Leonard goes back to Toronto for whatever reason, if he loves the medical staff, and I think Alex McKechnie has a lot to do with that in staying there. And whether or not he takes a 1 or a 2-year deal so he gets the 10-year max and then he could get a bigger contract in a couple of years. To me, if he goes back to Toronto, it sets this interesting precedent. Paul George goes to Oklahoma City in a trade, and there's no way he's staying in Oklahoma City, right? He's going to Los Angeles, and he signs a long-term deal to stay with Russell Westbrook. And then San Antonio dispatches Kawhi Leonard to the Great White North, to Toronto, and if he re-signs, he stays with the Raptors. There's going to be something said to give us a year. Let's show you what we could do, what we could build around you. And I don't know if it happens ever again, but I just think that's two amazing cases if he stays with the Raptors.
He's a fascinating guy, but the one thing he does, he comes to play every night.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, and I'm not into the 3-and-D. I mean, like, look, he's just a really good basketball player. He competes defensively. He rebounds the ball. He creates separation. He shoots it to the 3. How about the shots, the big shots he made in the playoffs?
Oh.
But if you're him and you've got Anthony Davis and you've got LeBron, just in terms of how does that work? Now, maybe it does work for him because, you know, all he just wants to win. But, you know, how does that work? I mean, how does that work?
Guys have to take steps back. We saw it in Miami, right, with that big 3. D-Wade, Chris Bosh was the guy who stepped back. We saw it at Golden State.
So who's taking a step?
Curry had to step back.
Who would step back with the Lakers?
Well, look, to Kesty's point, LeBron has seen someone do that for him in Dwayne Wade, right? Dwayne Wade did that in year 2 after they built a team, much like we're discussing, that didn't have a ton of depth. They had some injury issues with Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem that year, so they were playing guys they didn't expect to play. So I do think that LeBron is in the position to now reciprocate that. We'll have to wait and see if he does it. I believe he could.
To me, this is the year.
That would be incredible.
To me, this is the year for LeBron, right? We talked about it last year at Summer League. We didn't know what the roster was going to look like for the Lakers at that point last July. And you thought maybe, you know, LeBron doesn't play as many games because of that. It didn't turn out that way. And if he doesn't get hurt, they probably make the postseason. But the fact that they didn't and that he hasn't had to play a game since March, right? Since they shut him down. I mean, George, can you remember the last time he's had this many months between professional basketball games?
It's funny you mentioned that, Kesty, because on my ESPN LA radio show, we talk about this a lot, which is he hasn't had this much time off since right after his rookie season, because we forget that the following year, even though he didn't make the playoffs, he played on Team USA on that Larry Brown coach team that won the bronze medal that year. So it's been a long time. It's been about 16 years since he's had this much time off.
About as long as it's been since he missed the playoffs, right? As the layup is made by Jeremiah Martin, and the Heat extending the lead to 17. Well, it should be fascinating, and it all depends on Kawhi Leonard and when the decision will come down. Could be minutes, could be hours, maybe another day or two, who knows?
The West is pretty good, though.
Yeah, it is. Gonna be tough.
There's a lot of good teams in the West. I don't know the teams with 3 players like that, but there are really talented teams in the West.
Good teams at the top. Gonna be an interesting year in the NBA, as it always is. And here in Vegas, Miami with the lead. Las Vegas. The MGM Resort Summer League, great place. It is the home office of basketball right now. And over the next 11 days, as we play the preliminary games, China also involved in those preliminaries if they can advance to the tournament style that will take us into the final few days, and a champion will be crowned here in Vegas. But if you're a basketball fan, no better place to be.
Just park yourself, watch ball all day. By the way, it's a big fight this week too, right?
Oh, this is the it's gonna be the epicenter tomorrow of sport. Whoa, right at the rim, Chris Silva. Martin on the other end.
And that's why the Heat like Silva, because he is a competitive dude. He rebounds. He can protect the rim. He's got a toughness about him. Watch this play right in. Stays with the play. Helps on the drive and still stays with the play right there. Chris Silva comes from a program where taking plays off is just not allowed. Frank Martin, even though they didn't have a great year this past year, they're going to play hard. They're going to be physical. They're going to rebound the basketball. And he's going to allow himself to be coached every day. And, you know, when you're an organization, whether you start in a G League or not, he's a guy that, because of his work ethic and because of his DNA, he will play himself into the league.
That was a great quote from Eric Glass, their Summer League head coach, telling us about Chris Silva. He had that one knocked away by Ch.Mia out of bounds. But he said, Silva playing in South Carolina, you mentioned Frank Martin. He goes, those guys are tough. Tough as nails, and those are Miami Heat kind of guys. They got Heat DNA. He'll run through a brick wall for you. And as we saw, he'll go right up to the rim against the 7-footer Wang Jailin and block him right at the summit.
If you could survive Frank Martin's stare, you could survive anything.
I remember the first time I met Frank Martin. I was terrified of him because of the stare.
The greatest guy in the world. Soft-spoken.
When he comes right over to you to say hello and shake your hand, you feel like you've known the guy for 20 years. One of the great guys in this business.
Yeah, Kesty, he's genuine, real, can really coach. When I was an assistant at Miami, when they brought the program back, he was the assistant coach to Shaky Rodriguez at Miami High. And those games were not games at Miami High. They were events.
Wow.
Walk.
Long got away with it and also got a stick back. Wang Jailin, former Grizzly draft pick. Got 8 points so far as none misses, but the long rebound will come out to him. Silva goes no look into the corner. Little hop back three. Robinson missing. I think the Heat have done a pretty good job against a supersized Chinese team inside. They got a couple of 7-footers on the floor right now. And there's one pass from Wang to the other. Ch.Mia for the slam.
Ch.Mia created a little bit of a buzz. Last year, when he first came in, he knocked down that quick three.
That's right.
Place went crazy.
The Rockets Summer League team. Well, the Heat have been so good from three-point land early. I think they were 4 of 6 to open. They have missed their last 7 till right there on cue. Nick Mayo.
Nick Mayo, Eastern Kentucky, all-time leading scorer, right? 2,300 plus points.
That's amazing.
It's a lot of points.
First
from
team
Maine.
all Ohio Valley, all 4 years he played there. Tyler Hero. That's back-to-back threes now for Miami.
He's really good in transition. He gets his feet underneath him, hits a spot and elevates. This is right here. See how he's a physical defender. John Calipari used him as like a red defender, a guy that would deny people the ball. He does a really nice job of getting through screens, and he's physically stronger than he looks.
Losing the handle on the spin was Zhao Ray. Robinson threw it at the rim. Silva looked to finish instead. Duncan will get a 3 out of the left corner. 6th triple. Make it 7 for the Miami Heat here in the first half.
He had been very unselfish, especially in transition.
Nice behind the back pass, and Joe is fouled. He'll get to the line. I think Eric Spoelstra has got to be happy what he's seeing from his young Miami Heat Summer League team. I mean, they've got a team. There's a look at Spo right there. I mean, they've got a team that's fairly set. And Jimmy Butler, when that trade comes through, Winslow, Adebayo, Myers Leonard coming over from Portland.
Gives him a big body that can physical, can also step out and shoot the 3.
Yep.
Played well in the playoffs.
Opening this summer at Walt Disney World Resort, the NBA Experience will bring NBA moments to life through thrilling basketball activities, interactive experiences, and more. Visit Disney.com/NBA Experience for tickets and more information. Goran Dragic, we'll see if they can keep him. What's interesting with the Heat, they had all those cap issues. I know they were able to get Whiteside in his deal with Portland. He had that $98 million deal. There's a look at Bam Adebayo. Now we'll see a little more time with Whiteside gone. But they could end up being hard capped, and so they're going to have to get under the threshold once all these deals are consummated tomorrow.
They need Dragic because of his ability to distribute. Boy, they passed him.
Well, the Heat in a 12-1 run, all 12 points coming on 4 threes after we told you they had gone a little dry from three-point land.
The one adjustment for all these players transitioning to the NBA for the first time is the spacing. That's a travel.
By the time it gets called. We'll talk more about that spacing in the NBA coming up after the break from Vegas.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2019 is brought to you by Burger King. Introducing $4, $5, $6 Whopper meal deals only at BK. And USAA, insurance, banking, and investments tailored for the military community.
Back inside Thomas and Mag Center, the Miami Heat had opened this game hitting 4 of their first 5 from three-point land. We had mentioned there was a stretch where they missed 7 straight threes, and ever since we have, they have hit 4 in a row as Ch.Mia gets a block shot. On the other end, another block. Kendrick Nunn this time. Out of bounds. It'll stay with China. Seth, we were going to break. You were talking about. We'll take a look at the block first.
Really good job by Nunn getting back in the play. Off the block shot, doesn't quit on the play, stays in. Those are the type of plays that general managers, personnel guys, and coaches are looking for. Yeah, you make them miss shots, but those type of winning plays, because these guys are all going to have to fit into a small box.
Here we got a technical foul. They called double text. Looks like they did. Yante Maton.
Get a little frisky in here.
Miami, sure. Well, it's been a frustrating game for China, too. And they get right to the middle of the zone and knock it down. Zhao Jue with the shot from the free throw line. They're only at 10 points for the quarter. Team China here in these 10-minute quarters.
They're competing defensively. They're just a step behind everything.
Mayo on the drive. Little dish underneath. Wow. Gets right to Nunn, who shoots a 3 and misses. Leaking out his ding, accepts the pass, and just beat Tyler Hero trying to get the chase down block.
I'm not sure Ding ever crossed half court.
Well, you might be right.
Oh, goodness. That's a bad shot.
Well, they get the offensive rebound save in the corner. Final 2 minutes of the first half. Tyler Hero fouled by Zhao Ray. In the Summer League.
Interesting to see the number of minutes they're playing. Nunn and Hero and Robinson. And I think that's really good. I think what they'll do is, if you look at what they did earlier last week, is they a game on, a game off. Like Hero didn't play back-to-back games. You know, they're just trying to get basically a good handle on it. You know, you talk about what people are trying to get accomplished. Here's the biggest thing. What are guys' strengths? What are guys' weaknesses? Where do guys want to get shots from? How do guys pick up the NBA system, terminology? Those things are really important. And then
Hero shot 2 technicals.
Well,
they called a flagrant one there.
That's no doubt a flagrant one.
Zhao Ray. Should be an excessive foul.
Good job of Hero maintaining his composure.
Mayton flips it, and Mayo is right there to flush it home. Right place, right time for Nick Mayo. 53-25 Miami, coming up with 90 seconds to go in the first half. Ding, and it knocked away. Robinson got a piece of the ball, and then Ding with the foul. Now, is that a transition foul?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that going to be a free throw in the ball?
Looks like no transition foul.
Not.
That's a rule they're looking at.
I actually like that rule. When you
Let's
coach
explain
over,
that to the folks.
When you coach, well, basically, especially when you're playing overseas, it's not a clear path, but a defensive player, when the ball changes ends, will just give a foul to take you out of the break.
Yep.
And in Europe, if you watch any European basketball, it's commonplace. So even though it's not a clear path, it's